Galactic Empire in chaos. That's no registered vessel, and it's headed straight for us. Part 1 of 2Q. Captain Zextar stared at the glowing screen in front of him. His three eyes blinked in confusion. The bridge of his Imperial O. Warship was quiet except for the soft hum of computers. "What is that thing?" he asked his crew. The sensor officer, a tall alien with purple skin, looked worried. "Sir, it's not in our database. The ship has no registration number, no Imperial codes, nothing." Zextar's tail twitched with anger. In the Galactic Empire, every ship had to be registered. Every vessel needed proper codes. It was the law across 1,000 worlds. "Size," he demanded. "Small, sir. Maybe 50 meters long." "But..." The officer paused. "It's moving very fast, faster than it should be able to." The captain stood up from his command chair. His armor made soft clicking sounds as he moved. "Open a channel. Let's talk to these rule breakers." The communications officer pressed several buttons. Static filled the bridge speakers. Then a voice came through. It sounded strange. Different. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Defiance. You are blocking our path. Please move aside." Zextar's eyes went wide. The voice spoke in basic Galactic, but with an accent he had never heard. "And what was UES?" "No known empire used those letters." "Unknown vessel," Zextar said into his microphone. "You are in Imperial space. State your homeworld and registration codes immediately." A pause. Then the strange voice came back. "We're from Earth, and we don't recognize your empire's authority over this space." The bridge went silent. Every alien on the ship stared at their captain. Earth? No one had heard of a planet called Earth. And they didn't recognize Imperial authority? That was impossible. The Empire controlled everything. "Sir," whispered the sensor officer, "the ship is still coming toward us. It hasn't slowed down." Zextar felt his blood get hot. "Earth vessel, you will stop and prepare to be boarded. You are in violation of Imperial law." "Negative," came the reply. "We have important business. Stand down or we'll go through you." Go through them? Zextar's ship was a destroyer-class vessel. It had enough firepower to level a city. This tiny, unknown ship was threatening them. "Battle stations," Zextar ordered. Red lights flashed across the bridge. Alarms rang through the ship. "All weapons target that vessel." The tactical officer's hands moved over his controls. "Weapons locked on target, sir. But Captain, their ship is doing something strange." "What do you mean?" "It's changing. The hull is shifting. New parts are coming out of it." On the main screen, they watched the small Earth ship transform. Wings unfolded from its sides. Gun ports opened along its hull. What looked like missile tubes appeared on its top and bottom. "By the void," Zextar whispered. "It's a warship in disguise." The communications crackled again. "Imperial vessel, this is your last warning. We don't want to fight, but we will. If we have to, move aside." Zextar laughed. One small ship against his destroyer? "Fire all weapons!" Blue energy beams shot out from his ship. They struck the Earth vessel dead on. Explosions lit up space. Smoke covered the area. "Direct hit," shouted the tactical officer. But as the smoke cleared, the Earth ship was still there. Its strange metal hull had scorch marks, but it was intact. Not only intact, it was still coming toward them. "Impossible," Zextar said. "Our weapons should have destroyed it completely." "Sir, incoming message from the Earth ship." "Put it through." The strange voice sounded tired. "You really shouldn't have done that. Now we have to do this the hard way." The Earthship suddenly moved like nothing Zextar had ever seen. It twisted and rolled through space at impossible angles. Red beams shot out from its weapons. They hit the Imperial destroyer's shields. The bridge shook. Sparks flew from control panels. "Shields down to 60%, someone yelled. "How?" Zextar demanded. "How can one small ship damage us like this?" His tactical officer was frantically checking his screens. Sir, their weapons, they're using technology I don't understand. The energy readings are all wrong. More red beams hit the destroyer. The lights on the bridge flickered. The ship shook again, harder this time. Shields at 30%. Return fire. All weapons. The Imperial ship's guns blazed. Blue energy filled space. But the Earth ship moved like a dancer, avoiding most of the shots. The few that hit seemed to barely scratch its hull. Captain, the communications officer, called out, "We're getting a wideband transmission. It's not just to us, it's going out to every Imperial ship in the sector." "What does it say?" "It's a warning, sir, from something called the United Earth Space Force. They're telling all Imperial vessels to stay away from Earth ships or face the consequences." Zextar felt cold fear in his stomach. A warning to the entire sector? That meant there were more of these strange ships out there. "Sir!" The sensor officer's voice was high with panic. "I'm reading multiple contacts coming out of hyperspace." On the main screen, brilliant flashes of light appeared. One by one, more ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They were all similar to the first Earth ship, but bigger. Much bigger. "How many?" Zextar asked quietly. 12. "No, 15, sir. They keep coming. 20 ships now. 25. Each new Earth ship was larger than the last. The biggest ones were nearly as long as Zextar's destroyer. They formed a battle line, all their weapons pointed at the Imperial vessel. The original Earth ship, the small one called Defiance, moved to the front of the group. Its captain's voice came over the radio again. "Imperial vessel, you are now outnumbered and outgunned. Surrender now and we'll let you live. Keep fighting and we'll blow you out of space." Zextar looked around his bridge. His crew stared back at him with fear in their eyes. His ship was powerful, but 25 unknown vessels, and they had already proven their weapons could hurt his shields. "Sir," his first officer whispered, "maybe we should call for backup." "Do it. Send a priority message to Imperial Command. Tell them we've encountered hostile aliens with unknown technology." As his communications officer worked, Zextar studied the Earth ships on his screen. They held perfect formation. Their movements were precise and professional. This wasn't some random group of pirates or rebels. This was a military force. "Message sent, sir, but it will take hours for reinforcements to arrive." "Sir!" The tactical officer sounded terrified. "The Earth ships are charging their weapons. All of them." On the screen, the human vessels began to glow. Energy built up in their gun ports. It was like watching stars being born. "This is Captain Chen," came the transmission. "You have 10 seconds to surrender. After that, we start shooting. And trust me, you don't want to see what our weapons can really do." Zextar's claws dug into his command chair. In all his years serving the Empire, he had never faced anything like this. Unknown aliens with superior technology and the attitude to match. 5 seconds, Chen's voice continued. The bridge was dead quiet except for the hum of computers and the distant sound of the ship's engines. 3 seconds. Zextar closed his eyes. He thought about his crew. Good soldiers who had families waiting for them at home. Was his pride worth their lives? 1 second. "Wait!" Zextar shouted into his microphone. "We surrender!" The glow faded from the Earth ship's weapons, but they stayed in formation, ready to fire at a moment's notice. "Smart choice," Chen said. "Now here's what's going to happen. You're going to turn your ship around and go back where you came from. You're going to tell your empire that Earth is off limits. Any Imperial ship that comes into our space will be destroyed. No warnings. No second chances." "You can't threaten the Empire like this," Zextar said, trying to sound brave. "We control thousands of worlds, billions of ships. You're just one small fleet." Chen laughed. It was not a nice sound. "Captain, you have no idea what you're dealing with. This is just one patrol group. We have hundreds of fleets like this one, and our home defense force makes this look like children playing with toys." The bridge fell silent again. Hundreds of fleets? How is that possible? Where had these humans come from? But we're reasonable people, Chen continued. We don't want a war. We just want to be left alone. Stay out of our space, and we'll stay out of yours. It's that simple. Zextar's tactical officer leaned over to whisper in his ear. Sir, I'm picking up massive energy readings from their ships. If they wanted to destroy us, they could do it in seconds. The captain nodded slowly. Earth vessel, we accept your terms. We will leave this area immediately. Good. And Captain, when you report this to your superiors, make sure they understand. Humans don't make threats we can't back up. We've been fighting wars since before we could fly. We're very, very good at it. The Earthships began to move apart, creating a clear path for the Imperial destroyer to leave. You have 1 hour to get out of this system, Chen said. After that, we might change our minds about letting you go. Zextar turned to his navigation. Officer. Plot a course for Imperial Command, maximum speed. As his ship turned away from the Earth fleet, Zextar couldn't stop thinking about what had just happened. In less than an hour, everything he knew about the galaxy had changed. 3 weeks had passed since Captain Zextar's encounter with the human ships. Now he stood in the Grand Command Center of the Imperial capital world, facing the most powerful beings in the galaxy. High Admiral Vorth sat on his golden throne, his forearms crossed in anger. Around him stood the other leaders of the Empire, generals, admirals, and governors from 100 different worlds. Tell me again, Captain, Vorth said, his voice cold as space ice. A handful of unknown aliens made you surrender? Zextar kept his eyes down. Yes, sir. Their technology was superior to ours. Their weapons cut through our shields like they weren't there. Impossible, snorted General Crix, a massive reptilian alien. The Empire has the best technology in the galaxy. We've conquered every race we've met. These humans are different, Zextar insisted. They knew things about warfare we've never seen. Their ships moved in ways that shouldn't be possible. Hi. Admiral Vorth stood up from his throne. Enough. Captain Zextar, you will lead us back to this Earth space. We will show these humans what happens when someone challenges the Empire. Zextar felt his stomach drop. Sir, with respect, I don't think that's wise. They warned us to stay away. Are you suggesting the mighty Galactic Empire should be afraid of a few primitive aliens? Vorth's voice was dangerous now. No, sir. But they didn't seem primitive to me. The High Admiral waved a dismissive hand. Captain, you will take Fleet Admiral Corax and 200 of our best warships. You will destroy every human vessel you find. Then you will find their homeworld and make an example of them. Fleet Admiral Corax stepped forward. He was a veteran, warrior with scars covering his blue skin. It will be my pleasure, High Admiral. These humans will learn to fear the Empire. Zextar wanted to protest more, but he knew it was useless. When the Empire decided to crush someone, they always did it with overwhelming force. 200 warships should be enough to handle any threat. But something in his gut told him this was a mistake. 2 days later, the largest Imperial fleet in 50 years dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of human territory. Captain Zextar stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the massive display of Imperial power around him. Battleships longer than city blocks floated in perfect formation. Cruisers bristled with enough weapons to destroy planets. Fighter squadrons flew patrol patterns between the larger ships. Impressive, isn't it? Fleet Admiral Corax said as he walked onto Zextar's bridge. I almost feel sorry for these humans. They have no idea what's coming. Sir, Zextar said carefully, the humans I met seemed very confident. What if they have more ships than we think? Corax laughed. Captain, we have 200 warships. Each one could defeat a dozen normal vessels. Even if these humans have a few tricks, numbers will win in the end. The communications officer looked up from his station. Sir, we're receiving a transmission. It's on all frequencies. Put it through, Corax ordered. A familiar voice filled the bridge. It was Captain Sarah Chen from the human ship Defiance. Imperial Fleet, this is Captain Chen of the United Earth Space Force. You were warned to stay out of our space. Turn around now and return to your territory. Korax grabbed the microphone. Human vessel. This is Fleet Admiral Korax of the Galactic Empire. You are surrounded by 200 of our finest warships. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. There was a pause. Then Chen's voice came back and she sounded amused. 200 ships? That's it? We were expecting more of a challenge. Korax's face turned dark red with anger. You dare mock the Imperial Fleet? Not mocking, Admiral, just disappointed. We brought our training fleet out here and you only sent 200 ships. This is going to be over way too fast. Training fleet? Korax looked confused. Sir, the sensor officer suddenly shouted, I'm reading massive contacts dropping out of hyperspace. On the main screen, space began to fill with light. Ship after ship appeared, first dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. The human vessels formed massive battle lines that stretched as far as the sensors could reach. Zextar felt his blood turn to ice. How many? He whispered. The sensor officer's voice shook as he answered. I've stopped counting at 3,000, sir. They keep coming. But it wasn't just the numbers that terrified the Imperial crews. It was the size of the human ships. The vessels Zextar had encountered before were tiny compared to these. Some of the human battleships were longer than anything the Empire had ever built. This is impossible, Korax said, staring at the display. No one has fleets this large. Captain Chen's voice came over the radio again. Admiral Korax, let me introduce you to the 3rd Training Fleet of the United Earth Space Force. They're mostly new recruits, but they should be good enough to handle your little group. Training fleet? Korax repeated in shock. Oh yes, our real battle fleets are busy elsewhere, but don't worry. These kids need the practice. A new voice came over the radio. It was younger, more eager. Imperial Fleet, this is Admiral Jackson of the 3rd Training Fleet. My students are very excited to test their skills against real opponents. Please don't surrender too quickly. We need the exercise. The Imperial bridge fell silent. Around them, the human fleet moved into attack formation with precision that made their own formations look sloppy. Sir, the tactical officer whispered to Korax. What are your orders? The fleet admiral stared at the screen showing thousands of human warships. His career had been built on crushing enemies with superior numbers and firepower. But he had never faced anything like this. Open a channel to all Imperial ships, he said quietly. Channel open, sir. All Imperial vessels, this is Fleet Admiral Korax. Prepare for battle. He turned to Captain Zextar. If we're going to die, we'll die fighting. Zextar nodded grimly. He had hoped it wouldn't come to this, but Imperial honor demanded they fight. All weapons, target the nearest human ships. Fire when ready. The Imperial fleet opened fire. Blue energy beams and missiles filled space, striking the human battle line. Explosions bloomed against their shields. For a moment, Zextar hoped their weapons might be effective. But as the light faded, the human ships were still there, apparently undamaged. Their shields absorbed everything, the tactical officer reported in disbelief. Impossible, Korax snarled. Fire again. All ships maximum power. The Imperial fleet unleashed everything they had. The space between the two fleets became a blazing wall of energy and explosions. Surely nothing could survive that much firepower. But when the barrage ended, the human ships were not only intact, they were laughing. Actual laughter came over the radio from the human fleet. Young voices joking and making comments. Did you see that light show? My grandmother's cooking pot has better shields than those Imperial ships. Come on, guys, let's show them how it's really done. Admiral Jackson's voice cut through the chatter. All right, cadets, weapons free. Let's give our guests a demonstration of human firepower. The human fleet fired back. Red beams of energy reached out from thousands of ships. They struck the Imperial vessels like the fist of an angry god. Shields that had never failed before collapsed instantly. Armor that could stop planet-killing weapons melted like ice in summer. In the first 30 seconds, 20 Imperial ships were destroyed completely. 40 more were badly damaged and drifting helplessly. "Shields down," someone screamed on Zextar's bridge. Hull breaches on decks 5 through 12. Around them, the pride of the Imperial fleet was being torn apart by human weapons they couldn't even understand. "Sir," the communications officer looked terrified. "We're receiving surrender requests from half our fleet." Corax stood frozen, watching his ships die. This wasn't a battle, it was a massacre. Captain Chen's voice came over the radio again. "Admiral Corax, you've lost 40% of your fleet in 2 minutes. Do you really want to lose the rest?" "This isn't possible," Corax whispered. "No one is this powerful." "Admiral," Zextar said urgently, "we have to surrender. Our people are dying for nothing." Corax looked around the bridge. His officers were staring at him, waiting for orders. Good soldiers who trusted him to keep them alive. Finally, he picked up the microphone. "Human fleet, this is Admiral Corax. We surrender." The human weapons stopped firing immediately. The space around them went quiet except for the groans of damaged Imperial ships. "Smart choice, Admiral," Chen said. "Now here's what's going to happen. You're going to turn around and go home. You're going to tell your empire that any future attacks on human space will result in us visiting your capital world." "You wouldn't dare," Corax said weakly. "Try us," came a new voice. This one was older, more serious. "This is Admiral Rodriguez of the 1st Earth Defense Fleet. We just arrived to make sure our cadets were having fun." On the sensors, even more human ships appeared. These were bigger than the training vessels, and they looked like they were built for serious war. "The 3rd Training Fleet did well," Rodriguez continued. "But if you want to see what our real military can do, just give us an excuse." "Zex,"